And I take it your presence here is because you have a passion for working things out, which is admirable and going to make you, if you go into the law, a better lawyer. So that's my piece.
Thank you so much, Kiki. And we do have the captain of the mediation team, Bree, with us. Bree, would you like to take a moment to introduce yourself as well?
Hi, my name is Bree Faenza, and I'm currently a legal studies major here at UCF, and I have about 2 semesters left after this one finishes up. So I've been participating on the mediation team. This will be going into my 3rd semester. So if you guys have any specific questions about mediation, we can definitely talk about it, and I think I'll be talking a little bit more in a couple more slides.
Thank you so much, Bree. Bree has really been instrumental in making sure that the mediation team is well organized so that we can go into the fall and the competition season well prepared this year. So thank you for being here, Bree. And just so everyone knows, I am recording this meeting so that we can go ahead and post it online for people who were unable to join us this afternoon. And with that said, we'll go ahead and jump into a little bit about mediation. Some of you who are here today may not be too familiar with the mediation process, so I just kind of wanted to give you a short overview. Basically, it's where a neutral third party, someone not at all involved in a dispute, actually sits down with parties who are fighting and tries to facilitate a discussion between them that is productive and that helps guide them to a settlement. So traditionally, if you're serving as a mediator, you'll go ahead and provide an opening statement where you let the parties know your goals and how you plan to run the mediation. And then you'll let the parties do their opening statements as well, so that they can state their goals and what they're hoping the resolution might be. And then you'll go into caucus sessions. Caucus sessions are often where you go ahead and meet one-on-one with one party, and then you meet separately one-on-one with the other party, so that in that more private environment, the parties will talk to you a little more openly, and hopefully you can make some more progress with them. But the overall job of a mediator is simply to remain neutral and impartial. You really are a facilitator of communication, more so than a judge or anything like that that would actually be deciding on a settlement for the parties. And in that way, it's a little tricky. Mediation is kind of a fun little Rubik's Cube, because you have to figure out the best way to motivate each party and get them to kind of change their positions a bit, so that you can get all the colors on each side of your Rubik's Cube perfectly lined up and that help them reach a settlement. So it's a really fun challenge. And we actually do mediation competitions. So there is an organization, it's the International ADR organization, that sets up tournaments for undergraduate students where they can compete as a school, and they can compete with other schools from around the world. Now, often when COVID isn't going on, we can actually travel internationally to participate in these tournaments. Because of COVID, though, in the fall of 2021, all of the competitions will be taking place virtually, because international travel is still kind of up in the air at the moment, unfortunately. But the basic idea is that the competitions typically take place in the fall, and you as a team will break into groups of 3. So UCF can have multiple teams from its university, teams of 3. And each person in that team will get to serve both as a party and as a mediator in a competition. And that's what you're judged on, your performance both as a party, how realistic you are and how much you work with the mediators, as well as your performance as a mediator and how you're able to help facilitate that conversation between the parties. So these competitions in the fall, we do have some tentative dates we'll be sharing with you later today, in case you're interested in putting them on your schedule. But typically the way they run is that the first day is actually all about learning. So the first day is a day of seminars that you can attend by ADR professionals from around the world, and they'll actually give you tips and techniques for mediating successfully. And then the second day, you usually have the first round of competition, which has 3 rounds so that you can make sure you fill both the plaintiff, the defendant, and the mediator role. And then if you move on from there, the next day is usually when we have round 2 and potentially round 3 for the finals, depending on how many entries there are in the competition overall. So that's how competitions basically work. You are co-mediating. So for those of you who are familiar with mediation in general, you might not be familiar with the co-mediation model. The co-mediation model is where you're paired with someone else when you're mediating, and the two of you actually mediate together as if you're one unit. And so that's what we'll be practicing as a team. We'll be practicing working on co-mediating, different signals you can use, how you can break up your mediation opening statement, things of that nature in order to effectively work with a co-mediator, excuse me. And then if you're one of the parties, the plaintiff or the defendant, you'll have an advocate, like a lawyer, that you'll be working with as well. And that'll be someone from your own school. So when we practice, we'll also practice on making sure that you're used to working in both the advocate role and the client role, figuring out which one you're most comfortable with and which one you'd prefer to be doing at competitions. But keep in mind, at competitions, if you're a UCF mediator, you're not going to be mediating for a UCF client advocate team. Okay, they are going to break you up so that this way you can get a more realistic experience at mediation tournament, and also so that you can finally practice with someone who isn't from your school, because that's what we'll be doing as we prepare for competitions. Okay, and when it comes to judging, there are 2 judges per round. And they will judge you basically on your strengths and weaknesses and how well you stay focused on the roles that you're given. You'll usually be given your roles about an hour before the competition begins. And so that'll give you time to prep your positions. Mediators, they're gonna judge you based on how well you facilitate the mediation. Do you help the parties identify strengths and weaknesses in their cases and things of that nature? Everyone gets scored from a scale of 0 to 10. And honestly, the main point of it is that you get feedback at the end. So after every single round, you actually learn something about your performance from your co-mediator, or the other participants in your mediation, I should say, but also from the judges, which is amazing because then you can go into the next round and you can be even more prepared to succeed in that round. So the way the tournament is structured is really a fun and a very supportive environment. Some of you who may have done other competitive events, whether they be sports or mock trial or moot court or something like that, you may find that those are a little more competitive. On the mediation team side, we're very much looking at building your mediation skills. We're not quite as focused on that cutthroat competitiveness, but at the end of the day, you can still earn awards. So you can earn awards for your team, but also as an individual. Okay, so we are, as a mediation team, a registered student organization here at UCF, and Bree actually took the lead in getting us to be an RSO. So Bree, do you want to talk a little bit about that?
Yeah, so as of this spring, we are officially a registered student organization with UCF, which means that you can now find us on Night Connect, which is like the website that UCF uses so that students can find all types of clubs that they're interested in. So if you are interested in joining the mediation team, you'll officially be on our Night Connect. And on there, we'll plan on probably posting events and maybe our schedule as well. And another thing that being a registered student organization opens us up to is additional funding options. So we haven't been able to secure any funding yet, as it's kind of like a longer process, but maybe we'll be able to do that for our competitions because there is like an entry fee to competition. So hopefully we can work on that this fall. And other than that, it just being a registered student organization versus just kind of like a club that was really small and still in its founding gives us the opportunity to be more well known around campus. So I'm really excited that we were able to do that. And I do want to put out that right now we only have 2 officers. So myself as president, and then we also have as vice president, Grace. she's in this call as well. So Grace, if you wanted to say anything, then feel free.
I don't have anything prepared or anything like that, but I do want to say that I'm really excited for this just because it was a really good, I took the class last fall and I really enjoyed it. And then being able to like just make this an organization and just really intrigue people and teach people about this opportunity and like what mediation is about. And then like just having competitions really makes it like exciting because you get to prepare for something, but then also learn something like internationally because everybody does it different. And I touch base with that with people on the group chat that we do have, that like it is a very intriguing opportunity just because since we get to do it internationally, we get to see how different people learn, and like that and like the mixture of how we learn, we can like piece out like little things and like, you know, group together how we want to do mediation and stuff like that and other rounds and stuff. So it's a really exciting, and I'm glad that everybody's like here.
Yeah, and then secondly, I don't think we've talked about it quite yet. There's a class and a club. So if you partake in the class, I believe sorry, my cat is walking in front of the camera. I believe that Professor Foley will be teaching that. And so if you are in the class, you will have to participate in at least one competition. But if you choose to just do the club, it's more of an extracurricular activity. We definitely still want you to participate in at least the practices so that you can familiarize yourself with how the competitions work and maybe participate in one in the future. And in the club, you can also participate in the tournaments if you so choose. And it's really just a great like organization to get involved with, and just being on the extracurricular side of things. It's not as formal per se as a class. You still want to, of course, participate, but with the class, you're not, or with the club, you're not receiving a grade and you're not getting credit hours for it. So that's just something to keep in mind as well.
Thank you so much for mentioning the difference between the class and the club, Bree. I think you brought up a great point about the club is purely extracurricular. You're welcome to attend the class sessions to help prep for any competitions you may want to prepare for and actually compete in, but competition participation would not be required if you were just in the club, but it would be required if you were in the class. So thank you so much for mentioning that. And since we are talking kind of about the class and the competition schedule and everything like that, let's take a look at that so that those of you who are interested can fill out your calendars appropriately. So the class is actually PLA 4243. It's called Negotiation in Practice. And it's going to be meeting on Tuesdays and Thursdays from 12 p.m. to 1:30 p.m. at the downtown, 1:15, excuse me, at the downtown campus. And then the competitions, the tentative dates as of right now, again, these are all projected to be virtual. It would be October 1st through 3rd, October 29th through 31st, and then November 12th through 14th. Those are the three competitions we have semi-confirmed dates for at this point with INADR. So if you're interested in taking the class, you would be committing to those Tuesday and Thursday lunchtime classes at the downtown campus and at least one of those competitions. And if you are interested in just participating extracurricularly, you'd be invited to attend classes to practice, and you would be having the option to participate in a competition if you wanted to. And this particular class, Negotiation in Practice, will be offered in person. It won't be offered online in the fall of 2021. UCF's hope is to basically resume almost pre-COVID normal class schedules in fall. And this is a class where it can be really helpful to have in-person contact and just meetings so that you can really work together as a team. You can work together on your mediations and everything like that. Now, with that said, I can tell you as the instructor who will be teaching the class, because our competitions will be taking place virtually, we will be doing some practice with virtual mediation settings as well. So that is something we will be learning in class so that you will be prepared for the mediations. Okay. Any questions about that?
I have a quick question. So I was just looking at my class schedule and I thought, so not thought, but for summer, I'm taking PLA 4240, which is negotiation alternatives.
Mhm.
Is that similar or is that kind of like a different thing?
It's similar, but negotiation in practice is going to focus much more on mediation and preparing for the competitions, whereas negotiation alternatives in law is kind of an overview of mediation, arbitration, and general negotiation techniques and, tips.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome.
I also have a question.
Yes.
When looking under the negotiation and practice course code,
Mhm.
it does say that the negotiations and alternatives in law is a prerequisite
Mhm.
to get into the class. So we have to take the course over the summer.
You would need to take the course over the summer if you haven't already taken it in order to be able to enroll in PLA 4243 in the fall. That is correct.
Thank you.
You're welcome. And I believe that negotiation alternatives in law is only offered in person over the summer. I believe it's on Wednesday nights from 6 to 9 at the downtown campus. I'll be teaching that as well. I do not believe there's an online offering of that over the summer.
I did have a question. For practices, will we be practicing with other teams in the upcoming fall semester as well?
Great question. That is something that I'm in discussions with other universities about. So hopefully the answer is yes, but I don't have anything officially confirmed yet.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Other questions? Yes, we do have a tentative schedule for our tournaments, and you can actually see them here on this slide. Hopefully the slide is still showing. So the tentative competition schedule, we have one competition October 1st through 3rd, another one October 29th through 31st, and a third one November 12th through 14th. These dates are not 100% confirmed, but those are the tentative dates as of right now, according to INADR. I was just on a planning meeting with them a few days ago. For the club, yes. So for the club, you'll be invited to come join the class times. And so what we would do if you're interested in participating in an actual tournament, we would work with you to see who else is able to participate in the tournament and what teams you want to form based on who else is able to attend the class sessions you're able to attend. You're welcome. Okay.
And I just wanted to say, I know that I've stated this in the group chat as well, but I do want to remind everybody that if you are just doing the club and you do want to do a competition, just make sure that if you are going to do the competition, to make time for the practices, because those are especially crucial when you're trying to do the competition, especially if you're within the team, because you really want to get down and like knock down all the practices and everything like that, and everything that's been taught in the class and stuff like that. Obviously, it's not like attendance is not mandatory if you're in the club, but it's like you should be trying to come if you're trying to do the competition, because it is crucial, especially with other team members.
That's a great point, Grace. Thank you for mentioning that. Yeah, attendance is not mandatory, but attendance is important. So we would make sure, let's say your class schedule only allows you to attend the Tuesday negotiation and practice class and you're a club member. We would make sure that you're consistently attending on Tuesdays so that you have a team of 2 other people that you can work with and compete with if your goal is to compete. Now, if your goal isn't to compete and you want a little more flexibility with your schedule, that's something we can certainly accommodate if you're in the club and not the class. If you're just looking to learn general mediation principles and practice a little, absolutely. But if you have the intent to compete, we have to make sure that the people who will be on your team are just as well prepared as you and vice versa. So we have to make sure you're attending fairly consistently at that point. Great question about whether we're going to have any practices on the main campus. We're not going to have practices on main campus. Everything will be at the downtown campus, just because that's where legal studies is based, and this particular program is housed in the legal studies department. Okay, so if you do have any questions at all, you are welcome to reach out to me and let me know. My email address is here on the slide. And Bree, I believe we also have an email address for the mediation team as well, correct? And Grace, are you sharing that in chat right now for us? Thank you so much. So if you take a look at the chat box in just a second, we'll have that email address provided for you as well. But before we conclude today, are there any other questions that you all have for us?
I also just want to put out there that we do have a group me that we mainly communicate through. So if you are interested in joining the team and you are not on, in the group me already, I'm going to put that link in the chat.
Thank you so much, Bree.
You're welcome.
So the team email address is mediationteamucf@gmail.com. So if you have questions, you're welcome to email that email address as well. Or you can always email myself, christy.foley@ucf.edu. And we'll have the group me link as well in the chat in just a moment, so that this way, if you're interested in being part of the group messages, you can always click that link and get part of that group, so you can be informed of all those messages. Any other questions we can answer for you all today before we conclude today's info session?
I was wondering, so what are the next steps after this? So I'm assuming there's no like tryout of any sort.
There
So,
aren't.
which is
We're
great.
willing to have anybody who is willing to participate. So no tryouts to worry about. Like I said, this is less about being competitive, more about learning and practicing the field of mediation. So no tryouts that you need to worry about. Next steps for you, if you're interested in joining the team, would be to go ahead and either email myself or the mediation team UCF, and to go ahead and click on that group me to join the group. And that's how you'll be kept apprised of any kind of upcoming meetings and things like that. We really won't be starting to get the ball rolling until August. That's when you'll see that we'll start to have not only classes start, but people who are in the club will be communicating with them, making sure that, you know, if they want to participate in tournaments, they know what they need to do to prepare for that, everything of that nature. So that's joining the group me is a great way to go ahead and make sure that you get all those announcements and you're informed of all the communication, but you're also welcome to email me or email the mediation team itself in order to also be involved in those communications.
Okay, thank you.
You're welcome. Any other questions for us? Oh, good. I'm so glad to hear you're excited about getting started with mediation team. We're really excited. Last year we were fairly tiny. This year we're hoping to basically double our size. And really, you know, last year the team was pretty competitive. I have to say, you know, they ranked pretty well overall, but we're hoping to rank even better once we have more people to practice with, more sets of eyes to really help us all grow. So I am very excited about what the fall of 2021 holds for this team. Bree, Grace, is there anything you two would like to add?
I did just want to point out a small tip. If you are just doing the club and you're not joining the class or anything like that, and you are a little bit intimidated on information or anything like that, I definitely know that even I, who did the class, I would look up YouTube videos and stuff like that on like different like mediation competition or like what mediation is and whatnot, and just like, either read blogs or just look at YouTube videos, and that's really helpful. And it helps kind of like ease off on like, oh, what should I do? How does this really work and stuff like that, especially being a club member and not really doing the class and learning a lot more about it in depth. I just really think that's helpful.
That's a great point, Grace. Thank you for mentioning that. And to that end, if anyone does have questions about the mediation process, feel free to reach out to myself. I'm sure Dr. Grossman as well. We're happy to help and give you also reading suggestions if you want them.
Yeah, I'm really looking forward to the fall, and I hope to see a lot of you there. I did notice that we have Ian in this meeting as well, and he actually competed a lot last semester, and I believe he won Best Advocate. Correct me if I'm wrong. I know you won Best something, but if you wanted to share any helpful tips, I'm sure everyone would appreciate it.
Yeah, of course, absolutely. I'll tell you guys right now that the mediation team is just fantastic for really learning about negotiation techniques and everything. I'll tell you right now, when I joined it, I was actually not a part of the class. So I joined as a club member. Even though I was a club member, though, I still had so many opportunities to compete and really get involved with the team. So if you think, for a second, like, oh, well, I'm not a part of the class, like, don't worry, like, you'll still be really, really involved. What you essentially put into the program is what you take away from it as well. So it's helped me in tremendous ways. So I'm really excited for the new season, and I hope you guys are too. So
Thank you, Ian, and congratulations on your award last year. Which award was it?
I think the award was for I think top mediator.
Wonderful.
So I won one of those, and then I competed on a hybrid team with UNC for one of the competitions, and I know we won a team award for that as well. So
That's fantastic. Congratulations.
thank you.
He's quite humble because he jumped in and helped out a lot during fall semester, but he likes to stay quite humble because he really did a lot for us, and we appreciated him.
Yeah, I think actually he wasn't slated to compete on either of the tournaments that he participated in, and then somebody dropped at the last minute, and he just came right in.
Yeah, it happens like that sometimes, and that's the nice thing about it too is, a lot of the stuff you do, especially with mediation, there is that prep work to it, but it's also very spontaneous too. And, I'll tell you right now, like during the rounds, you're presented sometimes with like these case facts that are confidential that you actually don't find out until an hour before the actual competition starts. So it's very unpredictable, but also really, really fun, and it's a pretty good challenge. So I think you guys will definitely enjoy it. Super fun.
Awesome. Well, thank you so much for telling us about your experience, Ian. I particularly loved what you said about, if you're a club member, whatever you put into it is what you get. So whatever you want the experience to be, you're in control of making it that way. So thank you so much for sharing that with everyone. I certainly hope it encourages people to give the club a shot, even if they're not enrolled in the class. But if you do have any other questions, feel free to let me know. I see one comment in the chat that you're trying to get into the summer class. So hopefully that will happen, fingers crossed. I know there's still some spots in the class. So please go ahead and register soon if you're interested in taking that prereq. And if you need anything, don't hesitate to reach out to us. Hi. Well, thank you guys so much for joining today. And we look forward to seeing you in the fall for the mediation team. Have a terrific Friday afternoon, everyone.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Have a good weekend. Happy Friday.
You too. Enjoy the weekend.
Bye, Christy.
Bye. Thank you for being here, Kiki.
Thank you for all your work.